Shana Tova. And good evening. Welcome to Kol Hadash Humanistic Congregation. I'm David Hirsch, Chair of the Development Committee. So what I want you to do right now is to take out your phone. Mine reminds me, it says silent. So either turn it off, or make certain that it is absolutely silent and off. So take it out right now and triple check for me that it is absolutely not going to make any noise tonight. Thank you. In case we need to leave the sanctuary, the exits are at the back, which exit into the parking lot, or behind me through the doors at which you came in, into the hearth room where you entered. In addition, there's a defibrillator and a Stop the Bleed kit in the hall between the hearth room and the fellowship hall above the coat racks. As you saw when you entered, we have hired Blue Star Security to be at the entrance before, during, and after all of our services. May you have a meaningful holiday, a year filled with health, happiness, peace, and safety. A Shana Tova, a good year.
Shana Tova. Wonderful to see all of you here, to welcome those online. And we begin our service on page 1. Opening the heart. At the year's turn, in the days between, we step away from what we know into the spaces we cannot yet name. Slowly, the edges begin to yield. The hard places soften. The gate to forgiveness opens.
Shalom, Chaverim, Shalom, Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, Lehitraot, Lehitraot, Shalom, 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 Chaverim, Shalom, Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, Lehitraot, Lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Evening, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. 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 Evening, 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 Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom Aleichem. Evening, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
The Jewish New Year begins in darkness. We are the light. In Leviticus, the first day of the first fall month is to be Shabbaton, an absolute halt, and Mikra Kodesh, a sacred assembly. It is also Zichron Truah, a memory of shofar blowing. As the first day of a Jewish month, the assembly of the shofar always begins in the darkness of a new moon.
Neither faith nor human effort are needed for the glimmer of a new moon to grow into brilliance. The full moon shone long before humanity appeared and will outlast all of us. Yet, even when the night is dark, we are not defeated. Our minds, our hands, our culture work together to bring time to eternity, light to darkness, meaning to moments. When the world is dark, as the Jewish New Year begins, we are the light.
תקעו בחודש שופר, בכסה ליום חגנו. Please say with me on the bottom of page 2. Sound the shofar on the new moon and on the full moon for the day of our celebration. Tekiah. Shevarim. Teruah. Tekiah. Head of the year. The moon is dark tonight, a new moon for a new year. It is hollow and hungers to be full. It is the black zero of beginning. Now you must void yourself of injuries, insults, incursions. Go with empty hands to those you have hurt and make amends. It is not too late. It is early and about to grow. Now is the time to do what you know you must and have feared to begin. Your face is dark too, as you turn inward to face yourself, the hidden twin of all you must grow to be. Forgive the dead year. Forgive yourself. What will be wants to push through your fingers. The light you seek hides in your belly. The light you crave longs to stream from your eyes. You are the moon that will wax in new goodness. Tekiah! Thank you.
In nature, beginning again is easy. Leaves fall and become soil in which roots grow, deeper and stronger. Spring brings the renewal of buds, blooms, and babies. The world is always changing, yet the rhythms stay similar. It is harder for us to begin again. We remember what came before, and we fear what may yet be. It feels easier to continue a tradition than to change it. It is certainly easier to live unconsciously, to avoid self-examination, to refuse to change. Yet to do better, to be better, to live and to love better, we must be willing to ask difficult questions and face challenging answers. We must be willing to begin again.
We are not endeavoring to chain the future, but to free the present. We are not forging fetters for our children, but we are breaking those our fathers made for us. We are the advocates of inquiry, of investigation, and thought. This is of itself an admission that we are not perfectly satisfied with all our conclusions. Philosophy has not the egotism of faith. While superstition builds walls and creates obstructions, science opens up the highways of thought. We do not pretend to have circumnavigated everything and to have solved all difficulties, but we do believe that it is better to love men than to fear gods. That it is grander and nobler to think and investigate for yourself than to repeat a creed.
Wisdom is an awesome power. Through the force of their reasoning minds, human beings have tamed the energy of the sun, surpassed the birds in their reach for the heavens, multiplied the elephant's strength 1,000,000-fold. And through the miracle of language, we learn the thoughts, hopes, and dreams of ancient civilizations and transmit our knowledge to yet unborn generations. In our time, the explosion of knowledge has confirmed the truth that wisdom is larger than any one text, broader than one people's experience. Torah is not a thing, but a process. The scroll is but a symbol of the dynamic unfolding of truth, which began when the first question was asked and will continue until the last human being breathes her last breath. We honor our symbol of truth that we may honor every man and woman who has ever brought truth to light.
I invite you to rise as we remove our Torah scroll from the ark. From the book of Exodus, chapter 15. Az yashir Moshe uvnei Yisrael et ashira hazot layave vayomru lemor ashira layave ki ga'o ga'a sus v'rochvo rama bayam ozi v'zimrat ya vayehi li lishua ze eli v'adnehu Elohei avi v'aromemenu, Yahweh ish milchama, Yahweh shemo, Markevot paro v'chelo yara v'yam, Umivchar shelishav tub'u b'yam suf, Tehomot yechasemu v'yardu metzolot kemo aven, Yamincha Yahweh ne'edri b'koach, Yamincha Yahweh tir'atz oyev, uverov ge'oncha taharos komecha, tishlach charoncha v'yochlemu kakash, uveruach apecha ne'ermu maim, nitzvu kemo ned gozalim, קפאו תהומות בלב ים, אמר אויב ארדוף אשיג, אחלק שלל ותמלאמו נפשי, אריק חרבי ותורישו ידי. נשבת ברוחך כמו כשמו ים, צללו כעופרת במים אדירים. מי כמוך באלים יהווה, מי כמוך נעדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נטית ימינך תתעלנו ארץ. נחית בחסדך עם זו גאלת, נחלת בעוזך אל נווה קודשך. שמעו עמים ירגזון, חיל אחז יושבי פלשת, אז נבהלו אלופי אדום, אלי מואב יחזמו רעד. נמגו כל יושבי כנען, תיפול עליהם אימתה ופחד, בגדול זרועך דמו כאבן, עד יעבור עמך יהווה, עד יעבור עם זו קנית. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to their God Yahweh. They sang, I will sing to Yahweh, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea. Yahweh is my strength and might. He has become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will enshrine him, the God of my fathers, and I will exalt him. Yahweh the warrior, Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has cast into the sea, and the pick of his officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The deeps cover them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Yahweh, glorious in power. Your right hand, Yahweh, shatters the foe. In your great triumphs you break your opponents. You send forth your fury, it consumes them like straw. At the blast of your nostrils the waters piled up. The flood stood straight like a wall. The depths froze in the heart of the sea. The foe said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My desire shall have its fill of them. I will bear my sword, my hand shall subdue them. You made your wind blow, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the majestic waters. Who is like you, Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? You put out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your love you lead the people you redeemed. In your strength you guide them to your holy abode. The peoples hear, they tremble. Agony grips the dwellers in Philistia. Now are the clans of Edom dismayed. The tribes of Moab, trembling grips them. All the dwellers in Canaan are aghast. Terror and dread descend upon them. Through the might of your arm they are still as stone. Till your people cross over, Yahweh, till your people cross, whom you have redeemed. One of the most famous scenes in the Torah is the Israelite slaves fleeing Egypt and crossing the sea to begin the Exodus. The waters part through the power of their God, and after they walk through, the sea then crashes down on Pharaoh's chariots and men. Pharaoh's army drowns, which the song at the sea celebrates. There is deep hatred between Egyptians and Israelites. Centuries of Israelite slavery, 10 plagues experienced by the Egyptians. This poem in Exodus 15 is believed to be one of the oldest texts in the Torah. You can hear the Israelite joy, singing praises of their God and celebrating the downfall of their oppressors. They cheer their victory and revel in the fear of their enemies, both Egyptians in the mythic past and their rivals when the poem was actually written. These Israelites and Egyptians are clear and bitter enemies. There is a huge difference between love your neighbor in Leviticus and a first-century rabbi's suggestion to love your enemies and those who persecute you. That is a quote from Jesus, in case you did not know. I personally strive to not hate my enemies. However, I do not agree with loving them. Persecute me, I will resist. Oppress me, I will be angry with you, though I hope short of hate. Today, many wars are being waged. There are many enemies whose downfall we would cheer. There is political war in the ballot box, the high school and college campus, the smartphone screen and the media bubble. There is cultural war between tradition and flexibility, between fundamentalist religion versus liberal religion and secularism, between fear and fear, each side fearing what the other desires. And there is plenty of deathly war in Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Gaza, Sudan and Sudan, and sadly, on the high school and college campus. There is a huge difference between my opponent and my enemy. If you are convinced, as are these Israelites in the Song at the Sea, that God is on your side, then opponents are not just enemies, they are heretics, they are infidels, they are corrupting and evil. It was bad enough when the Song at the Sea was written, and the Israelites believed their God was the most powerful of all the other gods, as it says, "Who is like you among the gods?" But if you believe that there is only one true God, and that God always agrees with you, then there are no limits. If we are perhaps less certain in our righteousness, perhaps accepting our own limits, let us listen, even as we disagree. Less confident in our ultimate victory, we do the hard work of building bridges. To me, "Who is like you among the debaters?" sounds much better. Please rise as we return our Torah scroll to the Ark.
Hallelujah.
entire world is a narrow bridge. The main thing is not to be afraid. Old rituals are comforting. They're familiar and predictable. They're safe and secure. They relieve us of the pain of continuous surprise. They reflect the mood of stability and eternity. Old rituals help us relax because they require no more exertion than the effort of repetition.
But endless repetition is dull, just as people without imagination are boring. Imitation and conformity are necessary for survival. They are not enough for happiness. Successful people are creative people. They refuse to accept the world as fixed. They refuse to believe that life offers only one script for living. They see old things and imagine new ways of putting them together. They see new things in fancy old settings, which they will transform. They gaze at one scene and envision 100 ways to describe it. They experience one life and imagine 1,000 ways to live it.
"The path is so lovely," said the boy. "The path is so hard," said the lad. "The path is so long," said the man. The grandfather sat on the side of the path to rest. Sunset paints his gray head gold and red. The grass glows at his feet in the evening dew. Above him the day's last bird sings. Will you remember how lovely, how hard, how long was the path?
You said, day chases day and night, night. In your heart you said, now the time has come. You see evenings and mornings visit your window, and you say, there is nothing new under the sun. Now, with the days you have whitened and aged, your days numbered and tenfold dearer, and you know, every day is the last under the sun, and you know, Every day is new under the sun.
Let us ask ourselves hard questions, for this is the time for truth.
How much time did we waste in the year that is now gone?
Did we fill our days with life, or were they dull and empty?
Was there love inside our home, or was the affectionate word left unsaid?
Was there real companionship with our children, or was there a living together and a growing apart?
Were we a help to our mates, or did we take them for granted?
How was it with our friends? Were we there when they needed us, or not?
The kind deed, did we perform it or postpone it? The unnecessary jibe, did we say it or hold on to it?
Did we live by false values? Did we deceive each other? Did we deceive ourselves?
Were we sensitive to the rights and feelings of those who worked with us?
Did we acquire only possessions Did we acquire only possessions, or did we acquire new insights as well?
Did we fear what the crowd would say and keep quiet when we should have spoken?
Did we mind only our own business, or did we feel the heartbreak of others?
Did we live right?
And if not, then have we learned, and will we change?
The Jewish experience teaches the need for new beginnings. Our calendar revolves through cycles of 7 days, new and full moons, the turning and returning of the seasons. We remember anniversaries of deaths, moments in our mythical and real history, literary legends as if we too had been slaves in Egypt. Some recite the same prayers, read the same Torah passages, study the same laws again and again to ensure that new beginnings are never beginning anew. Others accept that change is a part of every living thing, including traditions and cultures. We have built and rebuilt Jewish life many times, from the destruction of kingdoms and temples to expulsion and wandering to new homes. We brought with us our languages, our holidays, our ideas, and our memories. Each new beginning was recreation, adapting what was old to someplace new. Even today, as individuals, families, and communities, we choose from our inheritance that which most inspires and moves us. New beginnings do not start from nothing. We begin again by looking backward while living forward.
We create from our own inheritance. Creativity builds on what came before, poetry on poets past, performances on earlier shows, artists on older images. This chain of creativity stretches back before recorded history and stretches forward into the dim future of our tomorrows. As with creativity, our lives and our families build on what came before. Today's parents learning from their parents, who learned from theirs. This chain of love stretches back beyond recollection and stretches forward beyond knowing. We joyously continue the chains of love and of life.
Praise the world. Praise its fullness.
And its longing, its beauty, and its grief.
Praise stone and fire, lilac and river.
And the solitary bird at the window.
Praise the moment when the whole bursts through pain.
And the moment when the whole bursts forth in joy.
Praise the dying beauty with all your breath, and praising, see,
The beauty of the world is your own. We learn little from spoken rules and written advice. Words can inspire us, but rarely do they transform our lives. We learn from people, from a living example of living teachers, a father's integrity, a mother's warm encouragement, a famous leader's determination. People enter our lives and guide us, but by what they do, not by what they say. They embody the ideal and make it real in us for us to understand.
memory keeps alive the example of great men and women who taught us through action. It also preserves the behavior of more modest guides who touched our lives to simpler ways.
We too shall be examples in a future world that we shall never visit. We are teaching others for a tomorrow that is beyond our grasp. Our actions will move others long after our words are forgotten.
We are the children of love. We are the heirs of generous hope. Parents and peers, family and friends are forever joined to us by bonds of affection and mutual experience. The pain of separation never completely disappears, nor does the fond memory of their lives. They are constantly with us, even when we do not think of them. Their influence brings us here today, that we may honor them by sharing our memories silently as a community of caring friends.
If you're comfortable standing, could I ask you to stand for just a moment? There is no one moment that is the moment to remember in loving memory. It could be an anniversary, a birthday, a holiday table with an empty chair. It could be any moment when we would have sent a picture or a message, picked up the phone to call, given an embrace, or simply thought of them in our life. It is appropriate, even in moments of celebration when the calendar turns, to think back to our losses of the last year. But we know that there is no timeline for grief. People we lost years, even decades ago, continue to touch our lives, continue to move our hearts. And so I invite you to pause for a moment of silent reflection, to feel the love you still feel, and to remember the love that they gave to you. In Jewish life, we say, Zecher Tzadikim Livracha, the memory of good people is a blessing to us. Please be seated as these words are sung. One of the most famous Jewish teachings seems simple. In Leviticus, love your neighbor as yourself. Or in Rabbi Hillel's version, what is hateful to you, do not do to another. You do not have to be Jewish to follow this rule, and it appears in other religious and ethical traditions. The Tao Te Ching says, love the world as your own self, then you can truly care for all things. Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative is to always treat people as an end in themselves and never as a means. The basic concept of love your neighbor is empathy, using your own standard of self-care to then care for others. Love your neighbor is the basis for human rights, the idea that all people have similar needs and desires and potential. The tricky part is, who counts as your neighbor? Who is a full human being worthy of regard, protection, consideration, respect? And who is less than a full neighbor? Who lands within my orbit of concern and who is outside? If there is an us, must there be a them? The unthinkable has become very thinkable. In rapid succession, we have experienced multiple politically motivated murders in America. There were 2 real attempts to shoot candidate Trump in summer of 2024. Luigi Mangione gunned down a healthcare executive in New York City last December, and some people cheered that murder. 2 Democratic Minnesota state legislators and their spouses were shot in their homes this June. Also in June, American Jewish seniors demonstrating for Israeli hostages in Colorado were attacked with fire, killing an 82-year-old woman. The month before that, 2 young adults leaving a program on Israeli-Arab coexistence were shot and murdered outside the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. And just a few weeks ago, commentator Charlie Kirk was very publicly murdered on a college campus. We have heard Israeli government officials and the American president speak openly about mass expulsion of Gaza Palestinians, even appalling calls for mass murder in bloody revenge for the massacre of Israelis on October 7th. Masked agents have seized people on American streets simply because they, quote, fit the description of color and language. Ethnic nationalism and Christian nationalism seem stronger than ever. It's not just America first, it's Poland first, and Hungary first, and China first, and Israel first, and. But was this really unthinkable? We have seen it before. In 2017, 4 people, including Representative Steve Scalise, were shot at the Republican congressional softball team practice. In 2015, a South Carolina state representative was killed in the Charleston church shooting. In 2011, Democratic Representative Gabby Giffords was shot in the head and lived by chance, while 6 others, including a federal judge, were killed. Economic dislocation, fear of the present and future, suspicion of our enemies, nativist fervor, the realities of the human condition have not changed, as much as we like to think that AI and the internet have made a new world. If anything, they are reinforcing tribalism and conspiracy theories. It has been said that history does not repeat itself, but sometimes it rhymes. This is not the first time we have seen humanity raise barriers between nations and peoples. We might prefer that they lower barriers and bridge differences, but that is not always the course of history. Jewish history has experienced many periods of stability, fruitful thriving, creative interaction with surrounding cultures. The Jews have also seen many episodes where we were the outsiders, the non-neighbor, the less than, to be targeted or even killed. My theme for these high holidays is, here we go again. For Jews with historical memory, for humans who know what humans are capable of, here we go again sounds very ominous. I am generally not a pessimist, except for predicting sports results. For sports, I would rather prepare for the worst and be pleasantly surprised by a win. Detroit fans and Chicago fans have been similarly hardened by experience. Since I do not bet, the stakes for winning or losing are pretty low. For most of the rest of life, political dynamics, peace, and war, I draw on the wisdom of poet Wendell Berry's The Peace of Wild Things, where he learns from animals who, quote, do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. We can make our lives miserable, waiting for things to happen, terrible things that may never come to pass. Better to live for now. Better to live in the chance that things will get better. I prefer that to doom and gloom all the time, every day. As important as hope is, we also need to face reality beyond spin and desire. This summer, I thought about creating a series of social media posts or TikTok videos called What I'm Mad About Today. I have zero doubt that I could have come up with plenty of material to carry me for weeks, only addressing one issue a day. I am a bit of a news junkie, and sometimes I fear to read the news in the morning, for fear of what happened overnight, or what might happen today, or tomorrow. When I first came to Kol Hadash, one of our members asked me, can you be a humanist if you don't like people? Current events are putting that question to the test. Humanism itself is both a modern and an ancient idea. It is as old as the Jewish myth that all people are descended from the same ancestors. Even in modern Hebrew, the generic term for a human being is Ben Adam, child of Adam. There is an evolutionary basis for humanism too, since all people actually descended from the first Homo sapiens making their way out of Africa thousands of years ago. 2 millennia ago, Greco-Roman culture was so attractive to other peoples that you can find Roman ruins all over the Mediterranean into Central Asia. Another example of their influence, the rabbinic word for a heretic is apikoros. It comes from the Greek philosopher Epicurus. Evidently, some Jews 2,000 years ago liked Epicurus' focus on this life and this world instead of the gods and an afterlife. The Jewish historian Josephus went from a Roman prisoner during the Great Revolt in 70 CE to a Roman citizen. A Roman slave from North Africa in that period, who turned into a free playwright, once expressed ancient humanism very well. Nothing human is alien to me. In other words, every person is a full neighbor I can love as myself. Of course, that ancient world, both Jewish and Greco-Roman, was no humanist Garden of Eden. Both cultures accepted slavery. Both did not accept women as full people. Both treated outsiders as lesser. The generic Greek term for non-Greek was barbarian. Jewish tradition definitely privileges Jews over the other nations. The Hebrew for the nations is goyim, not a nice term, as used in Yiddish. The Roman Empire conquered the world to forcibly impose its authority. The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, included 2 bloody and destructive Jewish revolts against Rome. It is not an accident that the pagan Roman Empire, with its relative tolerance and universalism, gave way to religious empires under Catholic Rome and Eastern Orthodox Byzantium. Religious empires that persecuted Jews and other heretics in a period called the Dark Ages. You see, progress can easily be followed by regress, reaction, retreat. After the Dark Ages, there was the reborn humanism of the European Renaissance, changing everything from how art depicted people to the very concept of connecting all human knowledge and creativity as a Renaissance man, long before Wikipedia. Building on the Renaissance, the humanism of the Enlightenment created and deepened ideas like human rights, individual citizenship, separating religion and government, reason as an arbiter of truth, ideals that humanists still celebrate today if others do not. That ideal of enlightenment, or Haskalah, transformed Jewish life encouraged Jews to modernize everything from dress and diet to ideas and identity. It is entirely appropriate to note that there were powerful and dangerous nationalist reactions against the universalism of the Renaissance and Enlightenment. Those nationalisms were definitely not good for the Jews. It is entirely appropriate to note that the same Europeans who emphasized reason and freedom were also slow to include women and to emancipate slaves, and they were fast to acquire and exploit colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. It may make them hypocrites, but that does not mean that all humanism is humbug. The very idea of human rights, that people as human beings deserve and can demand respect, dignity, and freedom, that idea continues to motivate and inspire progress all over the world. The fact that we are still arguing today, now, does not negate the tremendous advances of the last centuries, which we sometimes take for granted. It is those same humanist values that enable us to critique people like a Thomas Jefferson, the slave-holding freethinker and democracy pioneer. They changed the Jews from subjects to citizens, as we are today. Those humanist values encourage us to expand our orbit of ethical and emotional concern beyond the clan and the tribe to the human being, not only their human rights, but also our responsibilities to them if they are all our neighbors. Do those ideals of humanism sound pretty good? Well, there's a selection bias if we were to survey a humanistic Jewish congregation for whether they like humanism. So why is the world at large, the world beyond these doors, seemingly going in the opposite direction? Here we go again means that we need to learn from our past and not simply endure it anew. Over the long centuries of human history, social systems based on human rights and humanism are, well, they're weird, they're rare, they're unusual, they're hard to impose, and they're easy to collapse. A much higher proportion of the human experience has been dark ages, group against group, tribe against tribe, religion against religion, nation against nation. Most human cultures have convinced people to do what's good for their family, to sacrifice their individual desires for people close to them. It is much rarer to respect an abstract individual, a stranger, and to love them as yourself and your kin. It is even more rare to find full respect for the humanity and dignity of the others, the rival tribe, the foreign nation. The Torah commands us many times to care for the ger, the stranger or resident alien, because we were allegedly strangers in the land of Egypt. We Jews have experienced these values from others in Jewish history. After the expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492, the Ottoman Empire welcomed in thousands and was a haven for 400 years. In the United States, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society was founded in 1881 to help Jewish immigrants. And today, HIAS is Jews helping other immigrants from other backgrounds become American. Immigration, compassion, Jews have seen it and enacted it before. We also know that the Torah commands the extermination of rival nations in the land of Canaan, lest they tempt the Jews with foreign gods and foreign women who would pollute the, quote, holy seed. The Torah often describes the Hebrews as a chosen people above the other nations, as we heard in the song at the sea. Chauvinism, ethnic exclusion, rivalry, and hatred, the Jews have experienced those from others also. Sometimes the lesson of Jewish suffering is Jewish empathy, and sometimes it is Jewish revenge. In Psalm 137, part of the traditional daily meal blessing, it laments the destruction of Jerusalem and the challenges of living as a minority in Babylonian exile. And that psalm ends with this: Daughter of Babylon, doomed to destruction, he will be happy who repays you as you have done to us. Happy shall he be who takes and dashes your little ones against the rock. Which is the more typical human response? Respect or revenge? To be honest, probably revenge. If we try to direct our actions based on the all instead of the us, the human beyond the tribal, we are battling human nature. We are wrestling with the animal brain. We are fighting most of human history. That does not mean the struggle is worthless or impossible. We do have to be realistic. We humanistic Jews live at the intersection of the particular and the universal, learning the truths of the world and the human condition from human knowledge, like science and reason, and also celebrating our family and our cultural heritage in its uniqueness and its parallels to other cultures. Sometimes we Jews are slammed for being too tribal. Sometimes we are too universal. And sometimes we are slammed for simply being different, for undermining Christian hegemony with our stubborn insistence on, say, Hanukkah, which is a holiday about stubborn resistance. The crisis of humanism, the crisis of human rights in the face of rising fears of the other is fundamentally a crisis of empathy. Can we care for others even when we need care? Can we feel that others suffer even when we are suffering? When we are faced with too many problems, we shut down and only focus on issues that affect us. I am white, male, straight, cisgendered, married, employed, a born citizen, reasonably physically healthy, reasonably mentally healthy, and financially stable. That's 10 out of 10. If you are not any of those, you may face more challenges than I. If it is only about me, life is okay. If I make it all about me, I won't have to change anything. It's too easy to believe when we read, no one is talking about our issue, even if they are, because it cannot be about us enough. Hardest of all, in this crisis of empathy, what if others on the other side, our opponents, even our enemies, what if they are also suffering? What if a neutral observer has some empathy for them too? When recently discussing immigration, Elon Musk, the immigrant, said, the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. He called the current moment civilizational suicidal empathy. If empathy itself is thought to be dangerous, fear wins over fellowship every time. The question is ultimately a chicken and egg. Will a lack of empathy produce more hostility? Or is the world already dangerous and empathy itself is dangerous? Some borders and boundaries are necessary. We argue over how high the walls and how wide the doors should be. Even people who cheered Mangioni's murder of that healthcare CEO or who cheered Hamas's attacks on October 7th, they claim empathy for their group to justify cruelty to others. On a global human level, starving Israeli hostages are just as starving Gaza civilians or starving Palestinian security prisoners in Israel. Even if they are all starving, through the evil of Hamas and the chaotic disorder of social collapse after 2 years of war, and the effects of Israeli decisions are a factor too. It is an endless battle of what about. There are Gazans suffering. What about October 7th? October 7th, what about settler violence in the West Bank? The West Bank, what about stabbings and shootings and bus bombings and intifada terrorism? And terrorism, what about the plight of the Palestinian refugees? Palestinian refugees, what about the Jewish refugees from Arab lands? Your suffering, what about my suffering? Israelis and Palestinians are physical neighbors, but they are not moral neighbors for empathy, with exceptions. Multilateral democracy, international institutions making peace, they are all built on a foundation of empathy that is fast eroding. Last year, I encouraged us to wish each other a Shana Yoter Tova, a better year. Fat lot of good that did. We know that wishing and hoping and praying expresses intent, but wishing and hoping alone do not change the world. Changing the world, changing ourselves, changing others is a long, hard process of creative communication and, hardest of all, careful listening. So listen carefully while I share a secret about nationalism. Patriotism is also a form of empathy. In Yael Tamir's book, Liberal Nationalism, she describes how national allegiance trains us to sacrifice treasure and even sacrifice blood for people to whom we are not related. There are two fundamental questions about empathy that make the humanist difference. Where do you draw the outer line? And how does your people relate to other peoples? If you're a white nationalist, a Christian nationalist, your lines are stark and exclusive. Your relationship to the outside world is often hostility and aggression. That is how the religious fundamentalist faces a liberalizing, multicultural world. By contrast, if you are open, it is like a humanistic Jew relating to the American religious landscape. We are who we are, and we support our own group, and our experience has taught us to respect who they are, as long as they respect us. We love our neighbors who love us back. We can have inward empathy and outward empathy, open ethics and humanism, us and them rather than us or them. The Jewish New Year is a time of self-evaluation, a time to consider our choices and connections and then strive to do better. If we cannot promise a better year, we can work on being better people. We turn to that question of inward empathy among the Jewish people or Jewish peoples tomorrow morning. But for now, I leave you with this open question. How do you balance inward empathy for us, whichever us it may be, and outward empathy for them? Does your balance need rebalancing? One of our canonical high holiday songs, L'Shana Tova, wishes each other not only a good year, but also a year of Ratzon Tov, of good intention and purpose. The year will be what it will be, good, bad, or otherwise. We can become what we strive to become. I wish you all the best possible of New Year's. The last word has not been spoken. The last sentence has not been written. The last verdict is not in. It is never too late to change my mind, my direction, to say no to the past and yes to the future, to offer remorse, to ask and give forgiveness. It is never too late to start over again, to feel again, to love again, to hope again. I invite us all to join in singing our closing song, L'Shana Tova, wishing everyone a good year.
Shana
Once again, I wish you a Shana Tova. Please wish Shana Tova to the people sitting near you.